Well, good morning, everyone. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. So, I'm actually out here with a friend of mine, Tori. We're over here at the University of North Florida, the trails back here. And she's actually kind of testing out some new equipment and just seeing how everything feels and getting adjustment. So we're doing a little 5-mile walk in the woods, and I am not dressed for the occasion, but you know, it's what we're doing. But she's kind of adjusting her equipment, getting everything done. But one of the things I was kind of thinking about yesterday, and it kind of hit a little bit harder this morning, is, there we go. I might have perfected life in a simple sense. You know, I got lucky as a kid and had a mother who, you know, showed me things that a lot of kids don't know, and was able to start small businesses at a very young age. And you know, I've never been rich. I mean, I've had more money than I know what to do with, but I've never been rich, and you know, never really had to try hard to make money because of the things that she showed me. And I was sitting there thinking, you know, I'm 50 years old. I don't really work. I mean, I do stuff, but I don't have a job. I'm not tied down to a desk. I'm not out struggling trying to make money or anything like that. You know, it's Tuesday morning. It's about, I gotta flick my, it's 9:49 in the morning, and we're out walking in the woods, you know, on a Tuesday. She's retired, so she has her retirement money, but you know, and I guess in a way I'm kind of retired because I really don't work like I want to, and I just make money as I need it. You know, I got my nest eggs, I got my backups and everything else, but you know, I got a house that's paid for, I got more than enough vehicles to drive, I got over $1 million in inventory. So I'm kind of good for a while. And I think the biggest thing that I've done to kind of put myself in a position is I got out of debt. You know, I don't go out and spend money wastefully. Everything I buy with the intention of reselling, for exception of food. And I live a simple life. You know, no drugs, no alcohol. You know, I'm not into the party scene, and I know certain people that's a big thing for them, but you know, it's a little boring to live my type of life, but I'm free. You know, I really am free. Like, if I decided that I don't want to work for 3 months, I don't have to. At the end of 3 months, I'm gonna have to do some hustling and, you know, catch up on things, but that's 4 or 5 days of work and I'm done again because my bills are low. But so we're just out here and wandering around. I kind of thinking about that as, you know, there's not too many people that are looking at their future. You know, they're more interested in what they can have right now. You know, like I know people that spend so much money because they don't want to go and get the food themselves, or they don't want to cook. You know, and they're over there doing the Uber Eats or Grubhub or whatever them other apps are, which I've never used it in my life, because I'm not going to spend money to have food delivered when I live in a city where I can go 5 minutes in any direction and get 18 different meals. You know, there's no reason for it. But you know, it's a lot of little things. People who, you know, why is it all the poor people have all the tattoos? You know, maybe there's a correlation there. I'm not saying all poor people are, have tattoos. I'm just saying most people that I know in my life that are struggling, they got a lot of tattoos. You know, and they're like, well, I don't have no money. You know, you got a couple thousand on your arm there, or on your face, you know. Which, if you can survive having tattooed, that's fine, but that's a life choice. You know, I've been to the 2 places that the fact that I've been to 2 locations and never got a tattoo is absolutely amazing. I was in the Marine Corps and I was in jail for a little while. And I don't know how the hell I didn't get a tattoo, you know. I mean, I hung around with some of the worst people in the world and I never got on drugs. But anyways, I just kind of thinking about, little things, and there's a lot of people in my family and people I talk with, and they always say, oh, you know all this stuff, Well, I kind of want to help you on that. So if you have a question about life, question on, different ways to make money, different ways to hustle, things like that, shoot me a message. I'll make a video about it. Because I do want to help people out. And if you're in a situation where you're struggling a little bit on money, I know some ways to get you out of that, Hell, my phone number is in a lot of old videos, so if you have to, you can call. But yeah, I mean, I have people down in South Florida, they get in situations, and I've been trying to advise them, and I don't know if they just, don't believe me or what, but, I tell them, say, hey, well, work, if you're doing this, watch out for this, or try to do this, and just as a general, not getting into specifics, but, but they, they'll be talking about something. I say, hey, do you know about this? And they're like, no, I didn't know about that. And hopefully it helps them out. But I spent a lot of time out on the streets of both Jacksonvilles, learning a lot. I've always watched how money moves through this world. I watched the people that have made good decisions and bad decisions. It's, let's just say I know a couple of things. In fact, I was talking with my sister, and her husband's a mechanic, and he kind of was telling her what's going on. I was like, oh, it's this. Now, it turned out to be exactly what I said it was, and it's just, there's things that I just know, I don't know how, but stuff stays stuck in my brain. Anyways, I'm going to catch up to her, but I just wanted to let you guys know that if y'all have any questions, or if you're struggling with the situation, without it being too personal, let me know. I'll try my best to come up with a solution. I've had to get in between family members that are fighting, not physically, but verbally and emotionally fighting. And I'm able to make common ground between the two of them. And I've diffused, I'm going to say hundreds of inter-family fights, because I'm good at figuring out compromise where both people lose, and that's a true compromise, is when both sides loses a little, but the meat of the problem is taken care of. Very rarely is there a win-win. Usually it's just a little lose, and everybody's happy again. So, but anyways, it just something on my mind. Was kind of sitting here thinking about how good my life is. I mean, it's a boring life. I'm not, I can't say I'm ecstatic with the way I live, but it's a simple, easy life, low cost, low money. I don't have to go out and kill myself for 40 to 60 hours a week. I mean, right now I'm working 2 days a week, and then it's only from like 7 to 1. So, and I make enough to pay all my bills working a few hours, 2 days a week. So, anyways, I'm going to get back to this whole training thing for her. She wants to eventually get to the Pacific Coast Trail and hike that. I might go with her. So yeah. And then I have another friend that's down in Ecuador right now, and she just got her house. So I got to get me a passport, and I'm going to go down and spend a little time in Ecuador. I don't know if it'll be January or a little bit later than that, but I don't think it'll be January. I think it'll be after, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, peace, love, money. I'm out.